I'm Fiona Elder. I work with the Oxford Group as a coach and a senior consultant, specialising mostly in conversations, creating conversations that build engagement. And over the last 10 years, we've increasingly been asked to look at inclusive leadership. And the question most often posed is, where do we start? Interestingly, this morning, 27th of July 2020, I got to my desk, skimmed the headlines and came up with these two very quickly. First one is, racism isn't fair, it's making us ill. And the second one, London listed companies are more profitable when women make up more than 1 in 3 executive roles. Wherever you stand in the discussion on diversity and inclusion, we have issues in our society. I believe we have problems that we need to resolve, but at the very least, we have some dilemmas that leaders of all organisations and communities need to be discussing and exploring. Last year, we were asked to support an organisation in initiating conversation within their global executives on their approach to inclusive leadership. And our client told me a story that prompted her concern. So after a vacation, an executive had turned to a senior male manager and said, "So how was your holiday with the family? I bet your wife was pleased to spend some time with you after the hours we spent on that deal." The male senior manager replied simply and easily, "You mean my husband? I'm in a same-sex relationship." The executive had been so embarrassed and unsure in how to respond that they'd smiled and exited quickly, leaving the conversation abruptly and themselves feeling extremely uncomfortable. So our client stated that her ambition was to create a culture where these rather painful conversations did not happen. Now, the organisation may get to that point in the future, but they are a long way off. And we had discussions to clarify that the first step to an inclusive culture in organisations or society is to have more of the conversations that take courage and involve discomfort. I would have recognised more of an inclusive culture if the executive would have been able to say, "Sorry, my bad, my assumption. What is your husband's name? I'm interested as a company. Do we systemically make those assumptions, and does that cause any issues for you?" No judgment, simple interest and compassion in how people are impacted by the way things are. I know that organisations must address their business processes and systems to ensure a lack of bias and system prejudice. And my colleagues who are specialised in HR processes are working creatively in that area. And unless we create an environment where individuals, whatever their diversity, can have genuine, curious, non-judgmental conversations about differences, all the processes in the world become a box-ticking tokenism. So leaders have power in any organisation to create or restrict company-wide conversations, and each one of us must ask, how are we using our power to create a working community that is sustainably diverse? One that, as Peter Hawkins would state, has a level of diversity that is equal or greater than the diversity in the environment that they do business within. My own uncomfortable learning in this area is that you find yourself on shifting sand if you jump into conversations with others before you've had some really serious conversations with yourself. And in fact, academic research shows that those who do perceive themselves as objective can exhibit even greater bias in day-to-day life because they simply have no chance of noticing how their behaviours and decisions affirm the prejudices they hold. The drivers and triggers remain unconscious. In our work, we ask individuals to think about their own history, upbringing and cultural norms, and then to discuss the following 3 questions with colleagues. First question. What were the dominant behaviours and cultural values within your family and community? Second question. Who was significant in holding power and authority when you were younger? And how did they exercise this in relationships with others and yourself? Finally, coming right up to the present day, then what do you avoid talking about in relation to equality and diversity, both at home and or at work. See, if our responsibility as leaders is to create the culture so that we can have these honest, curious and non-judgmental conversations, then this is a good place to start. And if you want to continue the conversation with us, then please get in touch. Thank you.